Hello everyone and welcome to this product presentation of the new and renovated local verifications environment. Another interesting feature that is available inside of the local verification environment inside of Tremuri is all the options that we have regarding the calculation of walls. In this case, I go and select the first type, that is the walls, and then I'm going to see more options regarding this aspect. So as we can see here, we can perform the calculation of lintels, of openings, let's say encirclements, or also masonry infill walls. If we go to the lintels option, I'm going to see that I can, in the last drop-down list, I can select the type of lintel that I want to calculate. In this case, for example, if I go to the calculation to the steel lintel, I'm going to see in the toolbar that is going to open up and I can create a new item. In this case, once I click, it's going to take a couple of seconds and the window specific to the calculation of steel lintels, it's going to open up. Once the steel lintel window opens up, I'm going to see available all different options that I can use for the calculation and verification of a standalone steel lintel. In this case, I'm going to give a name to the project and specify certain parameters, as I can see here, such as the wall thickness, the weight per unit of the masonry, and all the characteristics of the lintel, such as what type of profile we're talking about, what its modulus of elasticity, the safety factor, etc. And of course, if I wish to do so, I can insert more, let's say more loads and that are coming from the floors that are located above the opening. If I go ahead and click on calculate, I'm going to see the verification is done automatically. In this case, both the strength and deformation verification is satisfied, so I click OK. Once I click OK, I'm going to see that my lintel is going to be added into the materials list. I can do the same for masonry lintels, and also another option that I have available is to calculate an encirclement. To calculate an encirclement, we have two options. We can either just right-click on a window on the 3D model of an existing wall to create the encirclement, or we can just create it as a standalone item by clicking on this icon over here that it's going to create a new item. The encirclement window is going to open up and it's going to give us all the parameters necessary to calculate our encirclement. First, we are going to be prompted with the insertion of a description for our project. And as I see here, I have two tabs that we are going to use to input all the parameters that we are going to use to compare the current status of the wall, of the opening, against the project status, the modifications that we want to make inside the wall. So first, I'm going to be prompted with the insertion of all the material parameters. In this case, for example, I'm going to insert the masonry that I'm going to use. Of course, I can just choose the parameters that I need to and the knowledge level, and all the parameters are going to be automatically set on the program. So I just click OK, and my name and type of material is inserted on the list. If I continue to do this, I can just define the structural steel that is going to be used on the encirclements, the rebars that I'm going to be able to use. Of course, I can define multiple items at the same time. And if I continue, I can also define the concrete that I'm going to use. So I just go ahead and click OK. Then, as a second step, I can define specifically the encirclements that are going to be used on the wall. So first I have the steel encirclements, and as I see here, first I'm going to be prompted with the name, such as steel encirclement, and then I'm going to be able to set all the parameters for this encirclement. I can I can set different, let's say, different steel profiles for posts and crossbars, and if I want to copy them, copy the properties from one or another, I can just click on this arrow here that is going to apply the features to the other element type. So in this case, I'm going to go for a very simple profile selection, and I'm going to click here to copy it into the crossbars. Of course, another option that I have is the pre-dimensioning, that it's going to help me to choose the most optimal profile, steel profile inside a family that I select. And also I can choose the material from the list of materials I've just inserted a couple of seconds ago. So I just go ahead and click OK, and my steel encirclement is inserted. Next, I can do the same for reinforced concrete encirclements just by inserting the name, choosing whether or not it's going to present ductile behavior in the pushover analysis, and in the same way I can define the dimensions and the properties of the posts and the crossbars, and I can copy the properties if I need to do so. So in this case, I'm going to go for a very simple section on the encirclement, as we see here. Then I choose the concrete cover and the stirrups. In this case, it's going to be midsection spacing and spacing. They're going to be the same and with two legs. And to copy the properties into the crossbars, I can just click on this arrow over here, and it's going to make all the properties of the encirclement the same. Also, I can choose the materials from the ones that I've selected a couple of moments ago. Just click OK. And my encirclement is inserted. Another option for the calculation is the choosing of the fragile collapse on the first shear failure and the interruption criteria for the pushover curve. That it can be failure on the first pier, failure of all the piers, or 20% decay of the maximum shear. In this case, I'm just going to leave it as failure on the first pier, and I'm going to go ahead and edit the geometry. Once I edit the geometry, I'm going to be prompted with this window over here that it's going to allow me to input the geometrical characteristics of the wall in its current status or in its project status. So as I can see here, the current status, I'm going to insert an opening as it is. I can just right click and insert it very quickly. And then I can, for example, in this case, I'm going to go for the project status that is going to use the same wall, and I'm going to insert another opening, but with an encirclement. In this case, I'm going to choose from the list of the encirclements that I've just inserted, I'm going to choose the steel encirclement. I just click on Add and choose the place in the wall where I want to insert it. Of course, if I want more precise measures, I can just insert them manually. So once the current status and project status have been defined, as I can see here, the openings that have an encirclement, they're going to be outlined in this red color that I see on screen. And in this, another option in this geometrical view is that I can change the view, such as I can just see the wall panel, also the piers definition, and the loads on each pier. Also, I can change the pier's mesh method that it's going to be, for example, to total height, as I see here, or I can use, for example, average height, or the Dolce method. In this case, I'm going to use the total height. So once I'm done inserting all the parameters for the current and project status, I just go ahead and click OK, and I'm going to see a small drawing of the wall. Once we finish inserting all the criteria, of course we can activate this option here if we need to of the minimum work variation search. And in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and calculate. Once I calculate, I'm going to be able to see two pushover curves, one for the current status and one for the project status. As I can see here, if I click on one step of the curve, I can see more details in the lower part of the screen, and I'm going to be able to see the improvement in many aspects on the wall with the insertion of this encirclement. As I can see here, I can see the improvement in strength, in the overall project, or in stiffness. And the program is going to tell me if the verification is satisfied or not. Other than the drawing view, I can also see the pier table that it's going to show me all the masonry piers and their main characteristics and whether or not they have an encirclement in them. So once the calculation is done, I just go ahead and click OK. And the window is going to be closed, and the encirclement analysis that I've just made, it's going to be added into the list. Another option that is available inside the walls section is the calculation of masonry infill walls. If we want to calculate a masonry infill wall, we just select it from the drop-down list and click on Create New Item, and the allocated window is going to appear. In this window, I'm going to be prompted with the input of all the characteristics of this infill wall in order to perform the verification. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and insert the peak ground acceleration. Then I'm going to insert the maximum amplification factor. Then in this case, I'm going to 2.7. Later, I'm going to just select the soil type, the behavior factor. I'm going to just leave it as it is. And then I can go ahead and choose the masonry panel constraint. In this case, I'm just going to leave them as the default value, but I can choose, as I can see here from the image, I can choose between fixed or hinges constraints on all different sides of the masonry infill wall. And then I'm going to go ahead with the panel features that are all the geometrical and masonry characteristics of the masonry infill wall. So in this case, I'm going to insert very regular parameters, as I can see here, weight per unit volume. Then I'm going to go ahead and choose 1.35, 160. I'm going to give it a little bit more height and the height of the center of gravity. So once I've inserted all the parameters, I can just go ahead and calculate. And as I can see here, with all the parameters that I've inserted, the verification doesn't turn satisfied. So as I can see here, I'm going to be able to see the safety factor for this verification. It's very close, but not yet verified. But for now, we're just going to leave it as it is. Once we finish, we can just click OK, and as the same in all other aspects of the environment, a new element is going to be added to the list. That's it for this presentation. Thank you everyone for your attention, and don't forget to follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel to get access to our latest videos and tutorials.